So the UFC returns to the Apex this weekend for Cannonier versus Borralho. And overall, guys, like, I know when the UFC announces an Apex card, we're like, oh. We're like, oh boy, here we go. This is just going to be a disaster. And surprisingly, I think this is actually a pretty decent card for Apex standards. I think the main event is awesome. We have two guys from the Ultimate Fighter on this card. We have a prospect in Michael Morales, who it's been a while since we've seen him compete, going in there against the veteran Neil Magny. There's some fights on this card that I'm actually looking forward to. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my predictions along with a breakdown for every single fight on the card. I will put the time codes down below for specific fights you want to hear me discuss. Let's hop right into this. Starting with our first fight of the night between Wang and Leonardo. I got Wang getting this thing done by finish. Look, she's got very, very good striking. She's a former kickboxer, and impressively enough, she holds a victory actually over Valentina Shevchenko, which, I mean, that's pretty impressive because we know how good Valentina is in MMA, but in terms of the striking in particular, she's got outstanding striking. So if you're beating Valentina Shevchenko in a straight-up kickboxing match, that can't go unnoticed. And I think Leonardo in this matchup, she's a little plotty, the way she kind of moves forward. Her footwork isn't the best. She's kind of got, she does have some submissions in her back pocket, but from what we've seen from her in the UFC thus far, the striking is available, and I think Wang is absolutely going to tee off on her. I think that this is a big moment for her. I know it's an Apex card, but this is a spotlight for her to shine, and I think she will, and I think she gets it done by finish. I got Wang. Moving on, we have Nunes versus Cavalcanti. I got Jacqueline getting this thing done by decision. Look, I think Nunes is a very good fighter. I think she's powerful. I think she's pretty well-rounded, but I think that Jacqueline just overall, the skill set, I think, is what's going to propel her into this matchup. No matter where the fight takes place, I think that she's a little bit quicker. I think that she's a little bit scrappier. And I think while Nunes is just kind of brute in there, she's got the power. She's strong. I just think Jacqueline's technique will propel in this matchup over Nunes' strength. And that's just kind of how it boils down to me, where I think Nunes is aggressive, but I think Jacqueline is a little bit more technical. That's why I have Jacqueline winning this matchup. Moving on. We have Reese versus Medina. I got Reese winning this fight. Look, I got him by finish. The thing that scares me is the one loss on the record to Cody Brundage, right? If you're losing to Cody Brundage, that's alarming. However, I have confidence in Reese, getting back on track here, as we've kind of seen, and I see him getting a finish in this fight. Look, I don't think Medina in particular, I mean, he's in the UFC, right? But I don't think to the standards of what Reese is in the UFC. I think Medina is a little bit behind in terms of the technique, in terms of the overall skill set. And I just think that Reese, I'm looking at my notes here, I got marked down slick grappling. He's got slick grappling. He's got solid striking. I think he's going to be a bit bigger, a bit stronger. And I think wherever the fight goes, Reese's kind of veteran presence to the UFC at this point compared to Medina, I think that Reese gets this done, and I think it's by finish. Moving on. We have Slava Claus, Yaroslav Borschev versus James Llontop. I got Slava Claus getting this thing done by finish. Look, I think James is a good fighter, and I think that he does have pretty good striking, but if you're stuck on the feet and all you're bringing to the table against Slava Claus is just striking, good luck. Good luck, because in this division, I think Slava has some of the best striking. He's very fast. We know about the kickboxing experience. He's got a good high guard. He's got really, really good hands. He throws in combinations. He's got good movement. He's got good speed. And I know he's coming off of the L over Chase Hooper, which Chase Hooper, he's looking like a real problem in the division right now. So I don't know that's that big of a deal in my eyes. And considering Slava trains at Team Alpha Male, and I know some people are hard on Team Alpha Male at times, but I think Slava Claus can get this done. I think that, they're going to go back to the drawing board. They're going to correct some things in terms of the grappling. But if you're just standing in front of Slava, I think it's just a problem. It's just a problem, especially a guy like James Llontop, who I think he has good striking, but not good enough to trouble Slava in this matchup. I think Slava Claus gets this done by finish. Moving on. We have Dennis Buzukja and Danny Silva. I got Danny Silva getting this thing done, and I think it's by decision because, look, Buzukja is a good fighter. He's got a good team behind him. I think he has a good skill set, but for me, it comes down to the boxing of Danny Silva. I think that he has the boxing advantage in this fight. And look, anytime you talk about a guy who's got really good boxing, it just makes it hard because you're not opening yourself up too much to where when you're intelligently fighting behind the boxing, when you throw kicks, it helps aids the takedowns. You're off balance and it allows guys to counter. But when you're digging your feet in and you're twisting and turning on shots and relying on the boxing, a guy like Danny Silva, he's just smooth. He's smooth. I think Dennis Buzukja is good, but I think Danny Silva's a touch quicker. I think the boxing is going to be the difference in this matchup. I got Danny Silva getting it done. Moving on. We have Edmen Shahbazyan and Meerschaert, GM3. I got Edmen winning this fight by finish, by a knockout. Look, I think Meerschaert, you can never rule him out. He's a veteran. He's been in the UFC for a very long time. We know his striking isn't the best, but with Gerald, it's the grappling. It's the submissions. If you're going to the ground with Meerschaert, you're going to be in a world of trouble. I think Edmen Shahbazyan is way faster. He is by far the better striker in this matchup. It's not even close. And I think that Edmen, he has a good camp behind him, right? Over at Extreme Couture, they're going to be well prepared coming into this fight to circle off, angle, use footwork, cut good angles to not allow GM3 to just charge forward and track him down and turn this into a grappling match. I think GM3 sets him up, or I think that Edmen Shahbazyan sets up GM3, catches him with some good shots and puts him out. So, but again, if Meerschaert could turn this into a dogfight, he could get a hold of Edmen, wear on him, take him into that deep water. I can see him coming away with a submission, but I just don't see it happening. I think Edmen Shahbazyan gets this one done. Moving on, we have Michael Morales versus Neil Magny. This is a fight I'm very interested to see because Michael Morales has been away for a while, right? I think that he's one of the prospects inside this division that we're really excited about. The Ecuadorian, he's got, you see him hanging out with Chito Vera. And look, he's a very, very good fighter. He's got really good striking. He actually has really, really good grappling that we haven't seen too much on display inside of the UFC. And this is one of those fights where I look at it and I go, Michael Morales should win this fight. He's faster. He's better. He's really just kind of better all around, in my opinion. But I have some questions in terms of the grappling. But I think that the youth and the striking of Michael Morales is going to be too much for Neil Magny in this fight. But we have seen Neil Magny, who he's being fed prospects, right? We saw it with Ian Gary. Ian Gary picked him apart, but we saw Mike Malott. Neil went up to Canada and derailed the Malott hype train. So is that possible in this fight? Of course it's possible. But I just think that Michael Morales is that good. I really do. I think that he gets this done. He's had some time away. I'm sure that he's been evolving the game, sharpening the tools. I think he absolutely picks apart Neil Magny in this fight. I don't know if he's able to get him out of there because Neil Magny is really durable. He is tough. He's got some miles on him since he's been in the UFC. But I think Michael Morales just puts on a masterclass, picks him apart, and shows us what he's about. I got Michael Morales. Maybe he can get a finish, but I think most likely a decision in this fight. Moving on, we have the tough matchup between Loder and Valentin. I got Robert getting this thing done by KO. Look, I think that Loder, he's got really good wrestling. But from what we've seen on Tough thus far, it's the wrestling for him. And for Valentin, he does have good grappling, but it's the striking on the feet that kind of separates him from Loder in this matchup. I expect Loder probably in the first round, maybe if he's able to secure a takedown, he's able to kind of wear on Valentin a little bit, control him on the ground. Because make no mistake about it, if Loder's going to win this fight, it's through the grappling, control time, wearing on him. But I think Robert's going to eventually get back to the feet. He's scrambly enough. I think he has a good enough ground game to stay safe to where he's not going to be able to get submitted. He gets this thing back to the feet, utilizes some of that dynamic striking because he's very explosive on the feet to where he is able to get a finish maybe in the second or third round. But again, anytime we get a tough matchup on, even if it's an Apex card, it's always exciting because you got two guys or two women, whoever it is that really want it. This is a big opportunity for them. I think that Robert is able to get this one done. Again, just got to stay out of trouble in terms of the grappling. I think he gets back to the feet and gets a finish. Moving on. Co-main event, we have Angela Hill versus Tabatha Ricci. I've went back and forth on this one. Because I know a lot of people might be quick to just say, oh, Tabatha Ricci, she's a prospect. She's dating Callum Walsh. Dana White really likes Callum. So you feel like they're trying to put Tabatha in a spot to build her. But off of that last performance and some of the outings that we've seen from Tabatha, I just don't feel confident picking her in any fight. But You know, the one thing that I do when I was going back and kind of researching before I made this video is Angela Hill against Mackenzie Dern. That was a hard fight. And I think Mackenzie Dern, we've seen, she's tough, she's durable, she's got really good submissions, she's got good grappling. You know, maybe Tabatha can implement a game plan like that. And what saves Tabatha in this fight for me is the fact that it's 3 rounds. If this was 5 rounds, I don't feel comfortable picking Tabatha at all. And quite frankly, even though it's 3 rounds, I still don't feel comfortable. I just can't trust her in my eyes. I can't trust her, but I'm willing to go out on a limb in this fight. Angela Hill, she's a good fighter. She's scrappy. She's got the striking advantage, I think, in this matchup. But I think Tabatha Ricci, she's going to be able to try to turn this into a grappling match. I think she's going to wear on Angela Hill. And we have seen Angela's takedown defense has improved. But if there's an aspect where Tabatha can win this fight, it's slowing Angela down, pushing her up against the fence, taking her down, working the body, you know, just kind of making this a grueling type of fight to where she could utilize the grappling to get, to win this fight. But again, if Tabatha can't do that, I know that the striking at times, it's a little all over the place. If she's stuck on the feet in front of Angela Hill for 3 rounds, I think Angela Hill can pick her apart. I absolutely think she can, but I'm willing to go out on a limb. Like I said, I'm feeling a little risky here, and I will go with Tabatha Ricci because I think that the UFC sees something here in a favorable matchup for her, considering Tabatha does have good grappling. I'm going to go Tabatha in this matchup. But again, I don't feel very confident with the pick. Moving on, main event. I'm excited for this one, man. I'm excited for this. And this was kind of a last-minute main event that they put together. This was made not that long ago, so that was kind of interesting to me. But we have Jared Cannonier and Caio Borralho. I'm going Caio in this matchup. I think that he is one of the prospects inside the middleweight division that, in a stacked middleweight division right now, we have a lot of really, really good fighters, you know, in this division. I think Caio adds a ton of fun to this division. Look, Jared Cannonier is coming off a controversial loss against Nasruddin Imavov at UFC Fight Night Louisville, to where, yes, it basically kind of was an early stoppage, right? I feel like we can all agree with that, or if not, whatever. You know, you could definitely make the argument at least that it was stopped early. Jared Cannonier is a good fighter. He's up there in age. He's built like a tank. He's got good power. The volume at times, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. He switches stances well. He's got good leg kicks. He's got good hands. But one of the issues that we've seen with Cannonier is as he's gotten up there in age, when he faces guys that have a speed advantage, he tends to struggle. And what I'm a little concerned about, though, in this fight is Caio being in a 5-round fight. I am going to pick Caio to win this fight. But, you know, maybe he gets a finish. You know, I know he's kind of had a lot of decisions on his resume, but I think he's able to get a finish over Jared Cannonier. Look, Cannonier's coming off of that fight where he was buzzed big time against Nasruddin Imavov. This is a rather, I shouldn't say a quick turnaround, but it wasn't that long ago. And he's coming into a fight with Borralho where, coming out of the Fighting Nerds gym, man, how can you pick against these guys right now? They just have the formula. I don't know what they're doing out there. Do they have a lab where they're just breeding fighters? Like, these guys are all sensational. They are spectacular. They have outstanding striking. They have good speed. They have good grappling of their own. And to be honest with you, Caio kind of reminds me of like a breed of like Charles Oliveira mixed with Paulo Costa, to where he has the jiu-jitsu, but on the feet, he is aggressive and he is wild. He kind of does like the karate McGregor type thing at times. He's got really good striking. He lunges in a little bit, which he's going to have to be careful because Jared Cannonier does have some good power in his hands. But I just think that Caio, he's got a crazy speed advantage in this matchup. I think he's way faster. He does get a little chaotic at times, so maybe that could backfire on him in this matchup, but I think that he's durable. I think he's got good grappling. I think he's overall, the stars are aligning for him. He's a prospect in the division. He's had quite a few fights leading into this. This isn't like, you know, he was on the Contender Series. He's had some fights inside the UFC. He was back at, 301 in Brazil, got a knockout over Paul Craig. So he's got Paul Craig, so he's had a little bit of experience prior to getting this Apex main event, where we've seen the UFC takes a guy after like a win or two and throws him into a 5-round fight, and it just never goes well, to where I feel like Caio, he's had a little bit of a buildup coming into this, to where I feel confident enough to pick him. But again, it's 5 rounds. Cannonier has experience on his side. He's up there in age. We saw him have some issues with the speed of Imavov. I think he's going to struggle big time with the speed of Borralho in this matchup. I got Caio getting this thing done. But I want to hear from you all down in the comments. Like this video. Comment your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel. Help your boy out. I would appreciate it. See you next time.